So that was a nice way to start off a morning, huh? Right. So if you would join me one more time. Thank you, Brianna, and all of our young people. It was a great way to level set and think about what we're going to be talking about the rest of today. Once again, I'm Jackie Four. I'm with the Consortium. I just want to do two quick housekeeping things first. One, again, remind you of social media. If you're taking pictures, we would love for you to share them out. On your guide, you can tag us, TCFPE, and the hashtag FRPC. Also, one other housekeeping thing. In your folders, you will find some index cards. If you have questions for our keynote speaker, who will be up here next, please jot them on the index card, and if you would, just raise your hand and one of our staff will be around to pick them up. Okay, so I have the pleasure and honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Rob Cherry. He is the executive officer at the Workforce Investment Board for the Pittsburgh area, known as Partner for Work. He's an active champion for businesses and job seekers, implementing programs, policy initiatives, and community engagement. Mr. Cherry joined Partner for Work last July and comes to us from Wisconsin, where he most recently served as the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Workforce Development. That's a real mouthful. Prior to that, he was with Employ Milwaukee, where he held several leadership positions. Over his tenure at Employment Milwaukee, he is most proud of developing and implementing the Career Plus program for youth aged 15 to 24 that consisted of year-round combined workforce training, subsidized improvement, and social emotional development. We're very fortunate to have you with us this morning, so please join me in welcoming Rob Cherry.
First of all, that was a fantastic panel. It's going to be very hard to follow that up. You guys really have it together. But, you know, I saw so much of my story in your stories. And I'm just going to start today by talking about my workforce journey, in addition to talking about Partner for Work. So when I was young, I had a life-changing kind of workforce situation. I had the opportunity to work for an innovator, and his name was Will Allen. Will is a pioneer in urban farming. He won the prestigious MacArthur Award. He's had multiple invitations to the White House, and it was a complete pleasure and honor to work for him. I literally worked for Will from the time I was 6 years old until I was 16. So most of us have heard the stories from your parents that they had to walk 10 miles to school, sometimes barefoot. I have an 8 and 11-year-old, and I love telling them that I have been working since I was their age. So because Will was he was an urban farmer, I know about aquaponics, and I can construct a vertical farm. I can. Do I desire to do that at all? To that, I would say no, but I possess the skill sets. So, and that's thanks to him. So while I was working at Grow Empower, Will had about 40 employees. And I can remember this large employee schedule on the wall. And I would look at the schedule, and I would look at the groups of people who were working together, and I would see which pairings worked well, which pairings slowed down production, and I would suggest to Will, you know, separate these people, tell them when someone needed help learning something, and back then we had the old school cash registers, and I prided myself on tying down to the penny the register tape and how much money was in the register. And I remember asking employees how they felt about certain things. I created a list at the cash register for people who came in and they wanted different products. We would write them down. And many people commended me for being in urban agriculture so early and prodded me to walk in Will's footsteps. They assumed that farming and urban ag was something that I wanted to do in my life because I was doing it so young and I was good at it. And but no one asked me what I was passionate about. These adults were well-intentioned, and they thought they were looking out for my best interests based on their limited understanding of my skills and abilities. They looked at the face value of my work performance and attempted to box me in, but they didn't ask me, what blew my hair back. And at that time, I did have hair. But seriously, no one asked me what lit me up. And again, I want you to understand, I am extremely grateful for the opportunity that I had, this exposure, much like the exposures that you all talked about you had. Because it was only through these types of exposure that prompted me to pursue what lit me up and make a living out of it. The exposure gave me the space to observe and develop. It afforded me insight to know what I did and didn't want to do. And that prevented me from spending a bunch of money that I didn't have, doing something that I didn't want to do. So who's ever seen the movie Karate Kid? All right, so spoiler alert then. So when Daniel's son was painting fences, he was scrubbing decks, he did the wax on, wax off with the car. At face value, you thought that he was going to go into some type of domestic capacity, maybe own a handyman company. Few people connected his actions and his tasks with actually being a karate champion. So the solutions to many of our current and future societal challenges must be extracted from our young people. When we give the youth the opportunity of exposure to the type of experiences that allow them to discover their passions and monetize them, then we're able to position some of the most vulnerable communities while simultaneously addressing regional, national, and global workforce needs. Now I'd like to show you how Partner for Work is positioned at the ground floor to address some of the most critical needs in our community. And as you know, we can't get there alone. So I hope through this that we can find points of synergy to address some of these critical needs. So now I'll go to my PowerPoint. So before I go into the PowerPoint, thank you. Yep. All right. So before I go into PowerPoint, I'll just give a little bit of background about myself. And some of this has been said already. So prior to coming to Partner for Work, I was the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Workforce Development in Wisconsin. And there I oversaw unemployment insurance, equal rights, vocational rehab, workers' comp, and employment and training for the state of Wisconsin. Prior to that, I was the COO at the Milwaukee County Workforce Development Board. But before that is where I really started to kind of cut my teeth in thinking about workforce. I was director of a small think tank policy group, and our main focus there was to elevate people out of poverty and work on policies that elevate people out of poverty. So a lot of our work focused around transitional jobs to earn income tax credit, healthcare parity, all at the national level. It was during this time that I discovered that one of the most efficient and effective ways to move people out of poverty or up the economic ladder was through short-term credentialing and training. And that's when I discovered what a workforce board does and what an important tool it can be for a region. So in 2014, Congress passed the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, known as WIOA. WIOA allows for a modernized workforce system that is flexible, responsive, accountable, and collaborative. WIOA guides the funding and rules and regulations for workforce boards. And here's a few requirements that WIOA requires workforce boards to be. Workforce boards have to be appointed by chief elected officials in a local area. Our workforce board is overseen by the mayor and the county executive. They have to be a majority of private business, 51% private business. Other seats on the board include labor, education, economic development, and other local core partners. They have to be responsible for directing federal and state local workforce development funds, including funds for young adults. And they have to be responsible for overseeing job centers. And those job centers here in Pennsylvania are called Career Link Centers. So Partner for Work is your local workforce development board. And we are legislatively mandated to be here in this region. So as one of 22 workforce boards in the Commonwealth and 500 across the country, Partner for Work is the workforce development agency for the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. We are charged with deploying public and private funding to ensure that individuals, including young people, can begin or advance in a career pathway and employers can find the talent they need to survive and thrive. For young adults, Partner for Work invests in a variety of programs that deliver critical services such as career exploration, credentialing, interventions to keep young people in school and get their GED, and interventions to prepare for post-secondary education or begin their career right away. Relevant programs and initiatives. So here's some relevant programs and initiatives that we have for young people at Partner for Work. So first is our WIOA in-school and out-of-school youth funding. So these funds are directed specifically for young people between the ages of 14 and 24. In-school youth funds are targeted towards young people between the ages of 14 to 21. And they provide funds for career exploration, subsidized wages, and career exploration. Out-of-school youth funds are targeted for individuals 16 to 24 who are disconnected from school and the workforce, and it provides funding for training, subsidized wages, and other ancillary services also. These funds are procured and implemented through various providers that respond to RFPs from Partner for Work. So some strategic partnerships that we have. One is the BankWorks program. BankWorks is a nationally recognized training program and is an example of a successful, sustainable partnership. So this is an example where our partners in the banking sector came together. PA Bankers Association, PNC, Citizens, and they all said, we need tellers. And instead of poaching, they all came together, and they came together on a national curriculum that we use in our program, and they created a pool that people can actually go through this training, and then they pull from the pool and they hire these folks. So this is a retail banking training program that helps individuals with a high school diploma learn the necessary skills to begin a career in banking. And it also provides soft skills, mentoring, and coaching. So first we'll talk about Tyler. Tyler came to BankWorks after seeing an email blast from the Hill District CDC. Tyler graduated from BankWorks and was accepted into Dollar Bank's Assistant Manager Trainee Program, and he continues to advance in his career. Stephanie was introduced to BankWorks through a Facebook group, and she graduated from the BankWorks program, and accepted a position as a branch sales representative at PNC Bank. Another program is Freedom House 2.0. Freedom House 2.0 is our strategic partnership with UPMC. It prepares economically disadvantaged individuals, often young single mothers, for careers as community health workers or emergency medical technicians. The 10-week training program focuses on traditional emergency medical services and equipping them as first responders to help address critical needs such as poorly managed chronic medical and behavioral health conditions and the lack of access and resources to help address them. Tiffany finished the program in March, and she started her current position as a community health worker. Tiffany wants to grow within UPMC and continue to work her way up the career ladder. Tiffany says not only does her current job pay her more than she was expecting, her work-life balance has improved dramatically, her hours are respected, which allows her to feel more confident that she'll be there for her children, thus improving her overall quality of life. Another key partnership is Learn and Earn. Learn and Earn is a $4 million summer employment program delivered by Allegheny County, the City of Pittsburgh, and Partner for Work. Learn and Earn provided many with a real work experience in the construction industry with an internship at PJ Dig. Her experience, coupled with her interests, led many to pursue a mechanical engineering degree at Point Park University. She's completing her second internship at Bear Automation. The 6-week paid summer employment program provides young people ages 14 to 21 with the opportunity to spend at least 20 hours a week at a work site and receive professional development, coaching, and soft skills. Young people are matched to job opportunities based on interests, experience, and skill sets across many corporations, nonprofits, and community-based organizations. Since its start in 2015, Learn and Earn has connected thousands of young people with jobs in more than 400 work sites, returning more than $6 million in wages to the local economy. Most important, many program interns went on to post-secondary or began their careers. So what ways is Partner for Work thinking about innovating in the youth workforce development space? I'll talk through a few. One is prepare a workforce development textbook or app. We feel that we have to inject a way for young people to understand where they fit in the region as far as workforce development. Next, scale dual enrollment programs and certifications, which means doubling down on institutions with institutions like CCAC and other higher ed institutions. And begin career exploration earlier and work with young people in middle school to prepare them for opportunities. Allow young people to explore careers that don't involve a 4-year degree. There are plentiful and well-paying positions in the trades. And create more opportunities and runway to work for organizations with Partner for Work. We want you to call us. We want to work with your guidance counselors and educators to create a strong career pathway roadmap. So what we've been doing at Partner for Work is we've been meeting with organizations, schools, school districts, and we go through what we call whiteboarding sessions. And that's where we sit down at a table, you talk about what you do, we talk about what we do, and we actually find the points of synergy. That way, because we're an organization that goes after a lot of state, federal grants, when an opportunity presents itself, we're not trying to scramble around and call people to see what ideas can we come up with. Instead, we have ready-made plans and articulated agreements of points of synergy with the organizations that do workforce in this area that we can pull off the shelf and then begin to implement. So I just want to thank you so much for giving me this time to talk about Partner for Work and what we do. But I really want to get to the point where the part where you guys ask me questions and we talk about workforce here in Pennsylvania. So I'll start with a few of these. Many jobs young people will have in their lives don't exist yet. Think about AI 10 years ago. How do you approach this challenge? That's a great question. And so when you think about AI and robotics, I had an interesting conversation probably about a month ago. And I had a conversation with a robotics professor at CMU. And we were talking about robotics. And I said something to him that he just jumped all over. And I said, we were talking about the hospitality industry. And I said, we're going to soon have, robot waiters, waitresses. He pounded his fist on the desk and he said, no, we're not. No, we're not, Rob. We're not going to have that. And he said, when I look at robotics, he said, if I looked at right now how many jobs there were out there in robotics, he said, there's probably about 43. He said, but we have to start teaching the skill sets. So that's a great question. And I said, well, what are the skill sets? And he said, well, of course, he promoted CMU and said, people need to come here and join our robotics programs. But he said, very simply, math. So the question and the statement is absolutely right. But what hasn't changed over time is kind of the basic skill sets that can be deployed into any sector. And that's strong math, strong STEM, if you're going to go into science, strong language and arts, if you're going to think about going into, writing, in the healthcare sector, those entry-level base skills, they don't change, or they haven't changed a lot over the last 20 years. But as you move into that career sector, you will continue to ascend, gain more skills, and, workforce and skill credentials have to be permeable. So you have to work, go to school, and that's the route that many of us have taken, and kind of go back and forth. We make young people make a very hard decision when they're 18, and that's what will you do when you're 40 years old? And as we see, that will change many times, and no one really knows. So that's a great question. Next question is, you mentioned an email blast and Facebook group for a BankWorks example. How important is social media to move scholars into the workforce? What can schools do to prepare scholars to look for jobs on social media? I think social media is incredibly important. We blast out everything we do on social media. People, we said this earlier, they're looking at their phones, they're in their phones, so as much information that we can put on social media, the better. I think we can do a better job also by helping folks learn through social media also. So how can we help folks train? How can we give better examples of the opportunities and jobs that are out here? We have a saying at Partner for Work is that most young people, if you ask them what they want to be, it's like they recite back to you Halloween costumes. But there's so many jobs out here, so many different jobs in the region, and so many different skill sets that we can use social media a lot better to help young people explore not only what those opportunities are, but what those jobs actually look like. What does the inside of a manufacturing plant look like? What does a hospital emergency room look like? I think we have a great opportunity to use that platform to show young people, what those things are, because, they can't be what they can't see. So regarding the education to workforce transition, what national trends are you seeing here in Pittsburgh? So one I talked about is that the dual enrollment programs, and I think those are going to be incredibly important in the future, that we catch young people earlier. We talk about their desires and what they want to be, and we create credentialing programs that they can start in high school, gaining credits to do those things. I think it's the way of the future, and the earlier that we can get young people earning those credits, I think the better chance that they'll have of actually completing that certification or degree in the future. What advice would you give to educators and businesses for cultivating a diverse and robust workforce? I get to ask this question a lot, and I have a very simple answer, and that is be very intentional about it. We know where our diverse populations are. We know where those pockets are in our communities. We have to be very intentional about outreach and engaging in those communities in a real genuine way. So my advice to that is to just be very intentional and genuine in your approach. And then, what has surprised you since moving to Pittsburgh? What should more people know about our region? So that's a very interesting question, because I talk about this a lot at work. So I'll be funny here for a second. And the thing that surprised me the most, two things. A, the amount of bridges. I was not prepared for that. It's not intimidating, though. Second is French fries and coleslaw on a sandwich. It's good. It's just good. But I think, the hidden gem of Pittsburgh that just blew me away was the amount of higher ed institutions here in this region. It is a hidden gem. And I think that as a region, it's so dynamic because you have so many young people coming into the region to learn. And at the same time, you have all these emerging technologies, and you want to keep people here in the region. The challenge of Pittsburgh in the future is how you keep the talent here. But the opportunity is that it actually comes here. So I think that's something that, that's very unique to Pittsburgh. It doesn't happen across the country in such a concentrated geography as here. And, I myself am really excited to start working on that. And I think we have this last question. Okay. Many jobs young people have in their lives don't exist. Wait, this was the first question, I think. Wait. Oh, no, that was, okay, I got it. What are some practices that employers can implement to make their workplaces, industries more attractive to the existing and upcoming workforce? It's a great question, and we get asked this a whole lot. And we've dedicated a department called our Industry Partnership Department at Partner for Work to actually working on this, because job quality is huge. And we're at a point, post-pandemic now that, every industry needs workers. But we're also seeing an incredible amount of movement going on in the background. People are switching jobs, they're switching sectors. They're doing what they feel that, they're passionate about in life. And we have employers not only trying to bring employees through the front door, but they're watching their back door at the same time. And the best way to watch your back door is to improve job quality. Workers now, they want a seat at the table. They want to understand what their role is, what it means to the company. They want flexibility, as we talked about earlier. And what does that look like for employees? And Partner for Work, we're not just a workforce board, we're a company too. So it's something that we're experiencing also. So we have a DEI committee within Partner for Work. Our workforce comes to work. They're mandated 2 days a week in the office, so we have that flexibility that we've built in. But we also are surveying, our staff a whole lot more. We're trying to understand what they want. We're trying to understand, how we can meet their needs also. And it's not all about money. a lot of it really is about flexibility and workers having an opportunity to put forth some ideas, to be heard and listened to, and that can go a long way. So what you can do is first of all, ask your employees what improvements can be made. We've implemented several in our organization. They were great ideas. A few of them even saved us a couple bucks. So I think that's the first thing. You have to engage with your staff and employees in a different way. And we should have been doing this a long time ago. We've been talking about job quality for about 10 years now. And I think the pandemic actually, pushed us there a little faster. But, if there's one good outcome of the pandemic, it's that. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated my time here talking with you all. Please reach out to us at Partner for Work, especially, as I discussed, so we can have one of those whiteboarding sessions. We want to be a partner. We want to be an asset to you all. And we definitely want to sit down and talk to you about workforce here in the region. So thank you so much.